Finale for the defending world champion Golden State Warriors, and that home finale was successful. 2 games remaining in the regular season, and the Golden State Warriors pull off a huge victory that has massive implications for their playoff positioning and so much more. We'll break it all down next. This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. That's Game Time. I'm Cyrus Saatsaz. You can follow me on Twitter at DogSurfRoadshow. What a magnificent victory for the Golden State Warriors. We're coming to you live immediately following that game. When I say we, I mean we. I'm solo tonight, so you're going to have to bear with me. And yes, Cool Breeze, who has the first comment in for the show tonight in the chat section, which is one of the perks of joining the show live. Moody, baby. Moody. And that's really was the theme of the night. Moses Moody. I'm going to get to him in just a second because he wasn't the only player out there, but he made a huge difference. If you're a regular viewer or listener of this show, you know what I'm all about. I love the kid. I've been wanting him to get real minutes all season, and he delivered. He played, I guess I'll just start with him in terms of the stat sheet. He was given 25 minutes tonight, which I'm guessing is a season high. Maybe not, because maybe there's some garbage time games in there, or maybe not. I'm sorry, not garbage time, but games in there where maybe there was a back-to-back where Klay was out. There was a few games during the regular season where Kerr sat nearly all the starters. I remember there was one game where Steph, Klay, Wiggins, and Draymond all sat and didn't play. So maybe there were games out in the regular season somewhere where Moses Moody played more than tonight. But in tonight's game, and it wasn't something that we expected. And, you know, if you look at the box score, for example, Moses Moody obviously was not the starter in tonight's game. But in the first quarter, he played 5 minutes and change. Second quarter, he played, I have the box sheet for every quarter here right now, which is awesome. Thank you, NBA. He played 7 minutes, 43 seconds in the second quarter. Third quarter, which I have here as well, he played 6 minutes, 20 seconds. So he was getting a consistent run throughout this game. In the fourth quarter, Moses Moody played 6 minutes and 12 seconds. Kerr gave him minutes, and he delivered. And in those 25 minutes and change that he played total tonight, Moses Moody shot 5 for 7 from the field. He was 3 for 5 from beyond the arc, finished with 13 points, grabbed 5 rebounds. But there was one sequence in particular that stuck out from the rest. The Golden State Warriors tonight grabbed 2 offensive rebounds off missed free throws. Those are arguably the hardest rebounds to grab in basketball. And the first of those 2, the second one, of course, was Kevon Looney, who is one of the best rebounders in the NBA. But the first one was Moses Moody, and he made up for it. There was a sequence just before that. I can't remember the details of it, but I can't remember if it was like if he blew a coverage or what happened. But boy, did he make up for it. He grabs an offensive rebound off a missed free throw, slams it back. As I mentioned, he was 3 for 5 from beyond the arc. One of those threes late in the game was huge. The Golden State Warriors were trailing at the half, 79-69, in a game where for the first 24 minutes, they did not know how to play defense. They haven't known how to play defense most of the season. The first half of tonight's game, it was symbolic of what's been going on all year. But the second half, things changed. And we have to give Moses Moody a lot of credit for that, because not only was he grabbing those huge rebounds, not only was he hitting those big threes, not only was he bringing energy and aggressiveness on both sides of the ball, but defensively, I never understood the criticism throughout the season for people saying that Moses Moody couldn't stay in front of other people. Every time I heard a criticism like that, I literally one time went back and watched an entire game just to see if those defensive lapses were true, and they're not. I never saw it all year. And we saw tonight he can play defense on top of being a solid offensive player. And Moses Moody, man, he got his minutes tonight, and I hope tonight's performance has earned him the trust that I think he needs in order to be truly successful. He has to have that coaching staff and his teammates believing in him. And part of showing you believe in him is by giving him a run like tonight. And again, he delivered, playing a total of 25 minutes, 52 seconds, and just an outstanding shooting night, outstanding defensive night. And the Golden State Warriors, though, more importantly, a huge 136-125 victory over the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm trying to say, Messi right here writes, I'm not going to play it right now just because I don't want to cause drama, but you basically criticize Steve Kerr because Steve Kerr's starting lineup tonight was funky. And yeah, Ward, absolutely. What a game. This was a huge game tonight. This had a playoff feel to it, and rightfully so, because in a little bit, I'm going to review what's going on with the standings and where the Warriors sit. And this win made a massive difference because right now the Warriors are the 5 seed. And I'm going to explain to you in a moment how they now control their own destiny to avoid the play-in tournament, which is massive because if the Warriors skip the play-in, if they finish in the top 6 in the Western Conference, they get a week off. And that week is going to be vital in terms of reintegrating Andrew Wiggins, who, by the way, is coming back. We haven't had a chance to touch on that subject yet, and I will in a little bit. I'm going to play some sound from before the game where Bob Myers and Andrew Wiggins addressed the media and talked about his comeback. So we're going to talk about it in a little bit. Joe, I do agree with you, though. I really wish that Myers would just simply take Lamb away from Kerr. It's like Kerr can't help himself. I don't understand it. But nonetheless, yeah, Anthony Lamb played as a starter. It was a funky starting lineup. And the starting lineup included Jordan Poole filling in for Klay Thompson, who did not play tonight because of a soreness in his lower back. And look, the thing about that's particularly concerning is that an injury like that is symbolic of your team aging, of your stars aging, because I don't think a 25-year-old Klay Thompson misses a pivotal game like this, a game that's going to determine whether you're in the play-in or whether you get to skip an entire week of the season and rest. And for him to miss the game because of a sore lower back, that's the kind of injury that I feel like we've been criticizing Andre Iguodala.
Oh, my neck, my back, my neck and my back. Oh.
Yeah, sore lower back. That's an old man injury. And Klay's 33. I know he's not old by general standards, but depending on how you look at the NBA, 33 to a lot of people is kind of old. So Klay Thompson missed the game. Jordan Poole starts in his place. That's natural. But then we learned that Jonathan Kuminga's starting. It's like, okay, I love Jonathan Kuminga. I've invested in Jonathan Kuminga's stock pretty much from the moment he was drafted. And I'm fine with that. He started for Kevon Looney, which is kind of weird. I've spoken on the show about how great things happen when Kevon Looney plays. He's been the bedrock of this team. He's the foundation in a lot of ways. He's Mr. Reliable. He's Mr. Iron Man. And when you look at the measurables, especially net rating, meaning how the team is doing per 100 possessions, in nearly every 5-man lineup with Kevon Looney in it, they are successful. They're in the positive. They're outscoring the opposition. I really, outside of saving him for your bench and bolstering your bench, I do not understand the logic of not starting Kevon Looney. I love Jonathan Kuminga starting. I just don't see why you have to sacrifice Kevon Looney for that. But nonetheless, Jonathan Kuminga started, and then there was the weird player in there as a starter, and that was Anthony Lamb, a player who just a few weeks ago was toiling when the team had 14 players on the roster. Draymond Green's injury, or was it the suspension? I can't remember which one, what was the cause, but it was either Draymond Green missing a game because he got that 16th technical. Is it 15 or 16? Whatever it is, that forced him to be suspended for a game. Warriors were shorthanded, and so Anthony Lamb gets the guaranteed deal, and Steve Kerr just loves this kid. Now I have to give Kerr a ton of credit because when the Warriors went into the half, and it was 79-69, and the Warriors once again had an abysmal, porous defensive output. 79 points is a buttload of points. That is awful defense. You should not be giving up 40 points a quarter. Yet that's what the Golden State Warriors did tonight. And I do have to give Kerr credit, though, because in a season where the Golden State Warriors their identity in so many ways during this dynasty has been dominating third quarters, has been coming out of the half with adjustments, with extra energy, and just putting the opposition away, usually in that third quarter. And every year that the Warriors have won a championship, they have been number one in the NBA in terms of point differential in the third quarter. This season, they've been outscored over 55% of the games they played in the third quarter. And the why of that's a mystery. Steve Kerr was asked that by my friend Larry Krueger, and Kerr responded that he felt that the team has gotten older and they just don't have the talent to do it. He just gave one of his non-answers to that question. But nonetheless, this was a third quarter tonight that the Warriors had to win. Again, because they're trailing by 10. Their defense was absolutely awful. And thankfully, Steve Kerr made the necessary adjustments. It was one of the few times all season I've seen him actually make changes and do something different at the half. And that adjustment was going to Donte DiVincenzo, who has been starting for the last few weeks and who was replaced tonight by Anthony Lamb. He goes with Donte DiVincenzo, and then he brings Kevon Looney in as a starter for the second half, thus benching Anthony Lamb. And I think Kuminga was the other player that was benched in the process. And thank goodness the Warriors outscored the Oklahoma City Thunder 33-27 in the third quarter. It showed their defense started to tighten up. And then in the fourth quarter, the Warriors outscore Oklahoma City 34-19 to pull away and win this game 136-125. When we come back, I'm going to play some sound. I'm going to talk about the standings. And thank you. The love is right back at you, Mark Hope. Love the positivity. Again, this is a good night, Dub Nation. This is a night that the Warriors absolutely needed in terms of a win and just the way they won, because in the second half, the defense clamped down. They played D, and then you have to play good D if you're going to have any semblance of being a world championship team. So Kerr made the adjustment. And another adjustment I'm going to touch on when we come back was huge in terms of defense. So we're going to talk about standings. We're going to talk about what Kerr did in the second half that hopefully is going to carry over to the final two regular season games that the Warriors still have to win. They're going to be on the road. And we'll touch on that and so much more. We're also going to talk about Andrew Wiggins, who's coming back, and what tremendous news, what incredible timing. But first, we have a new sponsor here at Locked On, folks. In fact, they even have like a whole new layout. Let me get that going. This is for the YouTube audience. And that new sponsor is Game Time. And Game Time is all about tickets. You folks know how sometimes it can be hard to find tickets to a game or to an event that you really want to go to. Look, the Warriors are about to enter the playoffs. If you're planning on going to that, if you're planning on going to baseball games, Kylan Mills is heavily involved with the San Jose Earthquakes. If you want to go see an Earthquakes game, you got to get tickets, folks. And Game Time is the place for last minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. You can get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. I'm Cyrus Saatsaz, your host tonight, going solo, recapping, coming in post-game, following the Warriors coming through with a huge victory tonight, and I'll explain why in just a moment. 136-125. The home finale. I cannot believe that the regular season is over at Chase Center. And the next time you see the Golden State Warriors play there, it's going to be an official playoff game, although tonight certainly felt like one as well. For some reason in the first half of this game, and maybe someone in the chat, if you know more about this, type away, maybe I can read it. But Gary Payton II only played 4 minutes and change in the first half. I didn't understand that. It made no sense. Gary Payton II is quite possibly the best defender on this team. And one of his areas of strength is perimeter defense, which is, I think, a huge reason why the Warriors traded their former number 2 pick, James Wiseman, to get him. And he didn't play at all barely in the first half. And I don't think there's a correlation between not playing one of your best defensive players and giving up 79 first half points. It seemed pretty obvious, play your best defender. But nonetheless, for some reason, he only got 4 minutes and change. And the Warriors struggled as a result of that. That was another massively huge adjustment that Steve Kerr made in the second half, because in the second half, Gary Payton II played 13 minutes. I've loved this guy from the moment he first played for the Warriors. And tonight, the stats won't usually tell you it doesn't paint a proper picture usually of his overall impact on the game. In tonight's game, for example, look, he shot great. He was 4 for 8 from the field, misses 2 3-point attempts. All of the shots looked good. One of them was from his favorite spot, the corner. The other one was kind of, I don't know which part call that part of the court, where it's not the middle, it's not the corner, it's whatever that in between place is, the elbow, I guess. Anyways, he shot from the elbow, and it looked good. It looked clean. I love the form, but he missed that. So he was 0 for 2 from beyond the arc, but he was 4 for 8 from the field total. I thought he did a great job passing out there. He grabbed 4 rebounds. He did have 1 assist. Finished the game with 8 points, was +9 in the plus minus. But again, I don't understand what happened in the first half there. But look, he played in the second half. They saw what happened. And thankfully, the Warriors came out victorious in this. I just want to see what's in the chat here real quick before we start playing some sound from this game. I guess why don't we start with a lot of people talking about talking about Anthony Lamb and how Lamb might play in the postseason. We'll see what happens. Anthony Lamb played 2 minutes in the second half of this game. And again, credit to Steve Kerr. As long as he comes to the realization that Anthony Lamb, I'm not opposed to him playing, period. It's just the 20-minute runs are a lot. I mean, give him 5 minutes here and there, 10 minutes a game, fine. But yeah, tonight, thankfully, his minutes were where you would want them to be. Finished with 12 minutes. Again, 10 in the first half, 2 in garbage time late in the game. Stephen Curry had a fantastic night. And obviously, look, the Warriors live and die with how he plays. He played 36 minutes tonight, was 11 for 25 from the field, slightly below 50%, which does matter a little bit because Stephen Curry on the season wants to accomplish for the second time in his career, reaching the 60-40-90 mark. 50-40-90. I'm sorry. I hope I said that the first time. And that means 50% from the field, 40% from 3, 90% from the free throw line. It's one of the hardest achievements in the NBA. It's a true measure of efficiency. And so this season, coming into tonight, he was shooting. So he's probably not going to get there because he's shooting 49.2% from the field, 42.5% from 3, which is absolutely fantastic. And then 91.3% from the free throw line. So how he shoots from the field overall has a little relevancy there. Finished 11 for 25, was 6 for 13 from 3, just shy of 50%. And finished the game with a customary awesome night, 34 points, added 6 assists, grabbed 5 rebounds. He was, the captain of this team as he normally is. But another player, which I have to highlight, actually, before I get to him in a second, why don't I play the soundbite real quick of Stephen Curry? He joined Fitz and Kalena in the postgame immediately after the buzzer sounded. And he talked about being locked in and about the game in general. Here's Steph.
Time all night, you set the pace with your scoring most of the night and everything else you were doing out there with your movement. In the fourth quarter, you had 5 points, which was great, but how great is it to watch your running mate, Jordan Poole, get 18 points in the fourth, and you setting the screens for him, you guys working together so well.
Yeah, he's obviously extremely talented, and he can create off the dribble. He's super fast in transition, and we kind of read the game plan from them. Lou Dort was just going to stay on me the whole time and not help. So just give JP space, let him go to work. He had some big threes. He got to the bucket, got to the free throw line. And our biggest thing is just being decisive on offense. anytime that we faltered late in a fourth quarter or a close game is just because we haven't been intentional or decisive with our play calls and what we're trying to get out of each possession. So we didn't have many turnovers because of that. It's just, you give yourself great opportunities to get buckets in terms of great shot selection, and then you live with that. So JP played amazing down the stretch, and then our defense allowed us to connect the game.
Yeah, and the defense in the second half, it was night and day between the second half and the first half. First half, they gave up 79 points, which is absolutely absurd. But then in the second half, they gave up 27 in the third, only 19 in the fourth. Talk about a lockdown D, 46 points total. And the defense did come through there. Jordan Poole had a magnificent game tonight. The Poole Party was absolutely raging. He played 30 minutes, 38 seconds, was 8 for 19 from the field, 5 for 12 from beyond the arc. A couple of those shots I feel like were ill-advised. That's always where the Poole Party kind of goes off the rails and falls off the track, is when he starts thinking he's Stephen Curry and starts taking these absurd 30-foot shots. And he had a couple of those moments tonight. But overall, Jordan Poole, 30 points to go along with 4 assists and 2 rebounds. And he did have 4 turnovers, but again, when you're scoring 30 points, you can live with that. He finished +6 in the plus minus. Steph was +13 in that department. So yeah, Jordan Poole, and you're really starting to see his game elevate as the season is coming to the conclusion and as the postseason's around the corner. Jordan Poole has world championship experience. He was the 6th man on a world championship team. So he could easily fall into this trapping of kind of getting bored in the regular season as much as the veterans can. And I feel like you've seen that sometimes. A huge problem with this Warriors team this year is urgency, aggressiveness, just being motivated to play with the same level of energy that the postseason requires. If you remember the postseason last year, if you remember any of these previous postseasons during the dynasty, they're tense. They're hard. It takes so much more effort than a regular season game does. They're tight. They're stressful. And that's just about the fans. Imagine what it's like as a player. So it's hard. It's hard for these guys to come back this year and to give the same, input into a game as you would in a postseason game. So, and Jordan Poole has gone through this war now. He has a ring, and he was an integral part of that. But with the postseason around the corner now, we're seeing his game pick up. I'm stoked, man. And hopefully Klay Thompson will come back soon. And that was just the lower back thing was just a one-off. Little concerning again, because those are the signs of aging. These little injuries that add up really fast. And hopefully Klay just missed one game. And can at least play for the final 2 regular season games, which is going to be huge for the Golden State Warriors. We'll talk about that. I'll talk about the standings, where the Warriors sit right now. This game tonight was huge. But first, we got an overlay for this one too. I got to talk about BetterHelp. And anything related to mental health, I take very seriously, just because it is a real thing. Your mind is another part of your body that sometimes needs help. And BetterHelp is a resource for you. And today's episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And BetterHelp is just, again, a fantastic way for anyone who is struggling in life to get help. These are trustworthy therapists. Some of them are doctors who are available to give you the help that you might need. And I want to mention one more time that this episode, again, is brought to you by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/lockedonnba and get on your way to being your best self. And if you've benefited from therapy yourselves, I'm sure you understand the importance of it. If you never have, this is one of the best ways to start. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime. Not all therapists are the right fit, but you can switch those easily with BetterHelp. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedonnba today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonnba.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. One final segment here. And I'm just reading the chat. A lot of complaints about Anthony Lamb starting. Look, obviously, you're barking up the right tree with this show in that regard. And again, the hope that I have is that Kerr. First of all, I'm still elated that Kerr made those halftime adjustments. That was huge. He saw the error of his ways and he corrected them, and that's all you can ask for from anybody. So I'm looking at the chat right now. Douglas Mikes writes, "Where's the Bulldog?" He's down here sleeping. If there's somebody in the show, I'll adjust my camera to show him. Ken Mamba writes, "Why in the world I don't see anyone saying Lamb should be playing more minutes than GP2, Jonathan Kuminga, and Moody, just Kerr?" Yeah, and this has been a recurring theme. This Steve Kerr likes him. There isn't much more to it. This is not necessarily a decision he's making that where logic and reasoning is applying. He just feels in his mind, whether it's instinctual, whether it's emotional, whatever it is, he feels Anthony Lamb should be playing. And thankfully more and more other people are starting to see how ridiculous that is. So I don't know what else to say about that, but Moses Moody was huge. He took advantage of his minutes tonight, played a phenomenal game. And if it were up to me, Moses Moody would always get those minutes. But at least we saw it for the second half. Dante DiVincenzo, I thought, played a fantastic game as well, especially defensively. Because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, if you watch this game tonight, you saw how special of a player, not only that he is, but who knows where he's going to end up. He's still really young. He scored 32 points on the Warriors tonight on 11 of 17 shooting, including 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. And DiVincenzo in the second half played great defense on Gilgeous-Alexander. Gary Payne II obviously played a big role in that as well. But DiVincenzo not only was playing solid D in the second half, and again, he didn't start tonight. It was the first time in a while that we haven't seen him in the starting lineup. But offensively, he was also fantastic. And that's been a slight change from the way he's been playing lately on the offensive side of things. He shot 6 of 10 from the field, 4 for 8 from beyond the arc, finished the game with 16 points. And maybe more importantly, I don't know, but he led the team in plus minus with plus 28, which is absolutely astounding. Kevon Looney, I want to mention as well. In my opinion, one of, if not the best rebounders in the NBA. You can make the argument, I really believe this, that Kevon Looney is the best rebounder in the NBA. Never mind the fact that he grabbed 22 boards in a game that clinched the Western Conference for the Golden State Warriors last year. Oh, memories. But his hands are just, I don't know what the experience would be like to try to take a ball away from Kevon Looney, but those hands are huge. They're strong. He grabbed 11 more boards tonight, including 4 of those being offensive. One of those coming off a missed free throw. As I mentioned earlier in the show, there were 2 of those. The first one was by Moses Moody, who not only grabbed that offensive board, but put it back for the slam. And then Kevon Looney grabbed a missed free throw later as an offensive board. And those are quite possibly the hardest offensive rebounds to get. So Looney was a plus 17 in the plus minus. And again, both of those players, DiVincenzo and Kevon Looney, normally starters, did not start tonight, but they did start the second half. And that was the difference, because in the third quarter, the Warriors outscored the Thunder 33-27. And then in the fourth quarter, they outscored the Thunder 34-19. And those 2 players, along with Gary Payne II, Moses Moody, and of course the regulars like Steph, Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, who played a light 20 minutes. Again, I don't know why his minutes were down, in all honesty. I felt like he played more, but look, for a 19-minute night, he didn't score a ton of points, scored 9. He was 1 for 3 from beyond the arc, but his defense was solid, and he grabbed 8 rebounds. That's been a criticism of Kuminga's from certain people, that he's not grabbing enough rebounds some nights. My retort to that routinely is he's a lot of times playing the perimeter, defending some of the best players on the other team. So he's not really necessarily in the best position to grab rebounds night after night, but he grabbed 8 tonight. And as I always mention, good things, if not great things, happen when Jonathan Kuminga plays. And I think he's fantastic. And the future, I mean, when you look at this, the future of this Golden State Warriors team, let me just go on this path for 1 second here, folks. Let's say 5 years from now. Okay. So that'll be what, 2028? The Warriors likely will be having a starting lineup that includes Jordan Poole, who 5 years from now I think will be much better than he is now, and he's already a great player. He just needs to improve certain areas of his game, and 5 years from now I think he's going to do that. Jonathan Kuminga will be 25. Moses Moody will be 25. That's 3/5 of your team. If Andrew Wiggins is still on this team, he'll be 33, which is what Klay Thompson and Draymond Green are right now. Patrick Baldwin Jr. is going to be 24. So the future. Oh, and Lester Quinones, by the way, who scored his first NBA point tonight. I think he made a free throw, if I'm not mistaken. Who knows what his role is going to be? So the future is looking very bright, Dub Nation. I'm very ecstatic about what the future is going to hold. What is Joe? I haven't even read this yet. Joe writes, Kerr had future is now lineup. Kuminga, Moody, Dante DiVincenzo, Jordan Poole plus Draymond. Yeah, he did. That was the lineup at one point. Yeah, and it was beautiful. Steve Wilton writes, it was great to see Wiggins smiling on the sidelines tonight. Why don't we play on that theme? Why don't we go to Andrew Wiggins, who was on the podium with Bob Myers. They addressed the media before the game. This was around the time where Steve Kerr normally does his pregame interviews. And all of a sudden, there's a little surprise. It was Bob Myers and it was Andrew Wiggins. So here is Wiggins talking about being away and coming back.
Andrew, at what point did you decide, what were the factors that just told you you need to stay away, and what were the factors that said, okay, it's now okay to come back?
It was just, when you're in a certain situation and your family needs you, and it requires your attention and, your love, that's my first priority. My career, everything, family is always first for me, and it'll always be that way. Whenever I think I felt like I was in a safe space to, to come back. I feel like we got everything settled. Not fully settled, but in a safe place where I can come back.
And how would you describe your conditioning at this point?
Not terrible. I've been working out. But obviously NBA is a different type of conditioning you need. But I don't think it'll be too long before I'm up there.
All right, so there's Andrew Wiggins. I do concur with what some people are saying about how he looks skinny, but all you got to do is give him a few calories and he'll be fine. Galen Callahan writes, when can we get a CBA episode? Let's save that for the offseason. There's too much going on right now for us to focus on that. Plus, I don't even know if we have all the details yet. Initial impression does in favor of the Warriors. And when the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have a ton of homegrown talent, suddenly have to pay skyrocketing luxury tax penalties as a small market team, then apparently we're going to see change. Until then, apparently, if you draft phenomenal, you will get punished for that by the NBA. It's absurd, but I'll save that for another show. I want to also, 2 sound bites came down. I do have to play these before we wrap up the show, and then I will still address the standings. But again, Andrew Wiggins, it's great that he's back. I cannot emphasize the importance of the team avoiding the play-in, because that is an extra week off for Andrew Wiggins and for this team to not only rest, but in Wiggins' case, get the conditioning and the practice that he needs. But there's 2 more sound bites here I have to play because these just came down from Postgame. The first one is Steve Kerr, who was asked what his reasoning was. Well, I cannot wait to hear this, folks. I'm listening to this for the first time, just like you. This is his reasoning for the starting lineup. So here's what Kerr's explanation is.
Steve, I know Anthony, Draymond, and Kuminga have had success this season as a trio. What went into starting Anthony, and what do you think kind of contributed to the slow start at first?
Well, ironically, we started that group to try to get off to a fast start. They have been starting the top of the second quarters here for the last couple of weeks, and they have a really good plus minus, great success as a group. And we liked the combination of the size with JK and Lamb to guard their wings, along with the the shooting of Jordan to make up for Klay's absence. So we thought it would be a good starting lineup. Didn't work out that way, but we adjusted from there. And as I said, the guys who came off the bench were brilliant. Dante was fantastic tonight. His defense in the second half, his shot making, playmaking, and Loon doing his usual yeoman's work. And then we mentioned Moses. Gary also, we had to get Gary out there more in the second half. He didn't play enough in the first.
Oh, so it ends there. But look, again, I don't know what Kerr is seeing. I've heard him repeat that line a lot, that he loves Kuminga and Lamb out there together. I love anyone in Kuminga out there together. Why Lamb? I don't know. The fact that he said that he put Lamb in the starting lineup to get a fast start. This is I don't know what he's seeing. I don't know. I am very confused with this whole Anthony Lamb obsession that Steve Kerr has. But again, simultaneously, there was a huge difference between tonight and almost every other game this season. That difference being Kerr made adjustments. He made huge adjustments. He gave up on that ridiculous plan. He stuck with Moody for both the first and second half. Again, I don't know why Gary Payne II only got 4 minutes in the first half. The Warriors gave up 79 points, and you only gave your best defender 4 minutes. But again, he corrected the mistakes. He made the adjustment. Thank you, Coach Kerr. And we'll end the show on this note. This is from King MJ's. You know what? Let's talk about the standings real quick, because you wrote, according to Google, the Dubs are the 7th seed. Incorrect. The Dubs right now are the 5th seed. This was a busy night tonight in the NBA. The games that matter. Well, the Suns beat the Spurs 115-94. Sort of mattered only because the Suns basically clinched. I don't know if it's official, but you can lock them in for the 4 seed. They're in. The Lakers won a huge game over the Utah Jazz in Utah. This game went to overtime, and the Lakers won 135-133. The reason why that game is important is because the Lakers own the tiebreaker over the Golden State Warriors. The two teams are tied in the loss column. The Warriors currently have a half-game lead over the Lakers because they played one extra game. The Lakers and the Clippers play a monster game tomorrow night. That game's on ESPN. You bet your ass I'm going to be glued to my couch with my dog Bubba by my side watching that game, because right now the Lakers and the Clippers both have a 41-38 record. They're both tied right now for the 6th seed. Whoever wins that game will push the Warriors down from the 5 seed where they currently are down to the 6th seed, because if the Lakers win, the Lakers and Warriors will both have a 42-38 record, but the Lakers own the tiebreaker in terms of head-to-head. They beat them 3 out of 4 times of the season. If the Clippers win that game tomorrow night, the Clippers will be 42-38. They'll bump the Warriors, who are also 42-38, from the 5 seed to the 6 seed, because the Clippers, even though the two teams are split the head-to-head at 2-2, the next tiebreaker then is division record, because both those teams are in the Pacific Division. And the Clippers have a 7-7 division record. The Golden State Warriors have a 6-9 division record. Now, the Warriors will be playing the Sacramento Kings, I believe, on Saturday. Let me get that schedule out real quick. No, it's either Friday or Saturday. But so that's going to be their final division game. And if the Warriors win that game, it's Friday night at Sacramento, and there's a strong possibility the Kings will have nothing to play for that night, because their playoff positioning might be secured by Friday. So that's interesting to watch for as well. But if the Warriors beat Sacramento Friday, and that's a damn near must win, the Warriors will finish the season with a 7-9 Pacific Division record. If the Clippers lose to the Lakers, and then lose their final division game against Phoenix, they will also finish with a 7-9 division record, at which point the tiebreaker between those two teams will be separated by win-loss record against playoff teams. That's kind of an absurd tiebreaker. So I have no idea right now what's going to happen between the Warriors and Clippers. But if the Clippers win tomorrow, Clippers will be the 5 seed, Warriors will be the 6 seed because of division record. And in fact, actually, if the Clippers win, then they'll just own the tiebreaker outright, because they'll have a better division record. And so that'll be a moot point. So that's where we stand. Tomorrow night's game is huge. Whoever wins the Clippers-Lakers game will be the 5 seed. The Warriors will drop to the 6 seed because they won't have the tiebreaker. And in all honesty, folks, that 6 seed is right where you want the Warriors, because if the Warriors finish with that 6th seed, their path to the NBA Finals is not only set, but it's plausible, it's realistic, it's attainable, and you can even feel good about it. I don't know if I feel good about it yet, about anything right now, but you could feel good about it, because if the Warriors finish as the 6th seed, all right, and I hope you folks are all following along with me. If the Warriors finish as the 6th seed, they play the Kings in the first round, a team that is just up the street. There would be no flights. You just take a bus there and back. The Kings have no playoff experience. It's a very winnable series. Then they'd play probably the Mavericks in the next round. I'm sorry. Then next round they would play either the Grizzlies or whoever the Grizzlies play as a 7 seed. Maybe the Pelicans, might be the Timberwolves. Most likely you're playing Memphis in round 2. You can win that. You've already proven you can beat the Grizzlies. The Warriors feel great about the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are also shorthanded without Brandon Clark, without Steven Adams. Winnable series. So then you beat the Grizzlies. You have the Nuggets most likely in the Western Conference Finals, or if someone else beats the Nuggets, whoever that is. So that's your path. 6 is what you want. And right now the Warriors will be the 6th seed after tomorrow. That's where you have to basically pencil them in. Because again, if the Lakers win tomorrow, the Lakers own the tiebreaker over the Warriors in terms of head-to-head. If the Clippers win tomorrow, the Clippers will own the tiebreaker in terms of division record. So the Warriors, regardless, tomorrow will be the 6th seed, and then they basically just have to win their last 2 games on Friday night against Sacramento, and then on Sunday at Portland. And if they win those games outright, they will at least have the 6th seed. They can still get the 5 seed if the Clippers and or the Lakers lose some games down the road. The other game of significance tonight was the New Orleans Pelicans losing at home to the Sacramento Kings 121-103. That was important because the Pelicans owned the tiebreaker of the Warriors, and that tiebreaker was conference record. Those 2 teams also split their season series 2-2. So the tiebreaker for those 2 teams, because they're not in the same division, is conference record. And so the Warriors, I think the Warriors conference record right now is 28-22, same as the New Orleans Pelicans. So that tiebreaker would also shift to win-loss percentage versus playoff-bound teams. But right now, because the Pelicans lost that game, the Pelicans are now a game behind the Warriors in the loss column. They are 40-39. So the Warriors control their destiny. Win Friday at Sacramento, win Sunday at Portland, and you get either the 6th seed or the 5 seed in the playoffs. And again, 6 is what you really want, because you play Sacramento, you probably play Memphis, and then you play either Denver or whoever else makes it that far. If you finish as the 5 seed, you get Phoenix in the first round. Eek, right? I mean, I have no idea how Kevin Durant's looking. You got to play Devin Booker. You got DeAndre Ayton you got to deal with. So if your choice is Sacramento or Phoenix, I think Sacramento is who you want to roll with. So if they finish as the 5 seed, you got to play Phoenix in the first round, much tougher. You probably have to play Denver in the second round, much tougher than Memphis. And if you survive that, it's whoever's remaining in the Western Conference Finals. So right now, the Warriors are sitting pretty. Okay, they're technically right now in the 5 seed, but realistically, after tomorrow night, they'll be the 6th seed. And if they can sit in number 6, folks, things could look good. All right, and we'll update you every day as we go along. I want to finish the show with this soundbite from Moses Moody, who had an awesome night. And this attribution I think you'll love, because he talks about how he's always wanted to develop his game in the NBA. Well, you know what? You're on the right path. Here's Moses Moody.
Kerr mentioned that when he and Bob talked to you a little while ago just about your situation, not playing much, that you said, I came to the NBA to develop, not if I wanted to develop in college, I would have done that. And just when did that dawn on you? Is that something you knew already? And that's a pretty mature thing for somebody to say this early in their career.
Yeah, when I was in college, my coach, he had a thing for a lot of grad transfers. So we had a lot of grad transfers that came in, and me as a freshman, like, I would hear them talk about basketball and talk about the game in ways that I didn't really understand. And it was cool when I thought I really wanted to. But then later, the more I thought about it, I realized, like, I'd rather take the time that, because it takes time to learn a game like that. But those 4 years that I could be learning the college game, I'd rather do it in the NBA. So that's what this is, just a developmental process, and trusting that, embracing the role, being where your feet are, and not trying to have too much of an ego or anything, just grinding every day, trying to be the best player I can be.
Oh, I love hearing that. Part the seas, young man. You did that tonight. Moses Moody got his minutes, 25, and he delivered 13 points and 5 of 7 shooting, including 3 of 5 from beyond the arc. Played some fantastic defense, grabbed some huge rebounds, 5 total for the night. So bravo, Moses Moody. Bravo, Golden State. You won a huge game. Again, final score of this game was 136-125. Damon Bruce will join me tomorrow. We're taping at 2:00. Follow the program on Twitter at Locked On Dubs. That's where we formally announce all our start times. Should be a live show. Damon and I would usually record our shows, but now that he's a free agent, he's got the YouTube thing going. I think we'll go live so we can address any chat comments as well. I'm going to go join another friend of mine, Larry Kruger, right now, if you want to follow along as well to the Krug Show. Before we go, real quick, we do have slots right now for local sponsors. I already got some emails following the last show. Thank you. So if any of you out there own a business and you want us to pump you up, just send an email either to warriors24pod@gmail.com. That's warriors24pod@gmail.com, or just shoot a DM to our Twitter accounts and we'll get back to you. That is it. Go Warriors. Great game. We'll be back at it tomorrow with Damon Bruce at 2:00. Until then, thank you to the chat and everyone watching. If you're watching or listening to the recorded version, thank you for tuning in as always. Your support is appreciated and then some. Sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And what a thrilling victory. I think Dub Nation, you are happy tonight. You should be happy. That was a great win. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Later.